Hello, welcome to the Sovereign Magazine show, which is a transformational experience where conscious conversations meet embodied wisdom. Each episode invites visionary healers, thought leaders, and change makers to share their journey of awakening, offering our listeners practical tools and soul-stirring insights to reclaim their inner authority. Today, we have Muslimah Tobias on our show talking about attuning to the body's wisdom, the language beneath thought. And so I'm going to have her introduce herself and then we will get on to our show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Nicole, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure and opportunity to share with the missions of the Sovereign Magazine Collective of impacting people into their inner authority. Our mission correlates to an extent. Yes, I am Muslimah Tobias. I go by the Spiritual Awakening Catalyst. I'm a coach, a guide, a mirror of remembrance for those who have been going through long-standing survival and they're looking to restore their inner authority and their authentic expression. I am the founder of the Soul Print Collective, is a neurodivergent portal of awakening, and also a movement to return us to our ancient roots of remembrance of our inner authority, of our peace and safety as our birthright, as our embodied truth. And I specialize specifically with those who are neurodivergent, as I am neurodivergent, and those who are hypersensitive, the intuitive, the mystics, those who were told they were too much, too intense, they lost their light, and they forgot themselves along the way. Bring them back into remembrance of who they are and their divine brilliance within. I'm also the co-host of the Musita podcast, where we explore unsilencing suppression in women, dismantling inherited patterns, and breaking generational truth trauma. And last, but most grounding of all, I am a mother of 6 children, and they have been one of my most greatest teachers and mirror along this journey and path towards evolvement. Yeah. And I think, oh
Yes.
yeah, and I
I
forgot to
mean, what?
mention,
Yeah, go
yeah, and
ahead.
I was about to say, I know we were talking about it before. I have over 20 years experience in holistic nutrition and health advocacy. And so my framework is mostly around holistic wellness. So I go into quantum healing, spirituality, and about holistic embodiment. That is like the core of my work.
Yes, yes. And I love everything you're doing in this world. I mean, come on, a mother of six doing all
Yeah.
of this. You are definitely a huge gift. And your capacity is amazing as a fellow neurodivergent woman in this world. I can completely understand with what you're going through. And you also specialize in neurodivergency and queerness as well. So I wanted to share
Yes.
that as well. We can't forget that. That is super
Yeah.
important because as you'll learn throughout the episodes, the two go hand in hand
Yeah, they correlate
oftentimes.
highly. Yeah.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about attuning to our body's wisdom and that we
Yes.
have a language beneath just our thinking brain. So for those who might be new to the topic, why don't you share a little bit more about it, help us define it, and really get grounded in this topic?
Yes, the body's wisdom is basically the body's intelligence. We live in a world where we usually overemphasize logic, like the brain, the intelligence of the mind. But the body's intelligence is far more powerful than the intelligence of the mind. The heart alone, even scientists reported they have its own central nervous system called the central cardiac nervous system, and it has like over 40,000 neurons. So it thinks, it remembers, it feels, it sends, it knows information milliseconds before our brain, and we may know that in a spiritual context as our intuition. Its electromagnetic field, magnetic field is so powerful. We may call that the aura, the energetic field, the vibe we feel for someone. So we already automatically just beneath that. And then even when we talk about our gut, I know you probably heard of your gut feeling, but our gastrointestinal tract is lined with hundreds of millions of neural cells too. And it sends information to the brain. And usually when there's like something going on, like you're foggy or you don't have clarity, usually that can be connected to the stomach. So a lot of the information, like the systems or organs or heart, or we can imagine like a solar system, something is off. The brain is off, something is going on with the brain. So it's connected. And just imagine before you were born, or even before you were born, when your mother's placenta connected to the umbilical cord. You have information sending already. There's already an intelligence. Your heart is already beating in your mother's womb. So there's intelligence before you come out. And then when you come out and you're born, you're talking through, you're crying. There's different cries, and your mother, your caregiver, is the baby crying because they're cold, or so it's through those sensations that we're already talking non-verbally. And there's somewhere along the way we have learned to tune it down. Oh, that is too much. I sense something. How do you know you sense something? Because they're not in your body. So, you know, too sensitive. And then you turned down a volume, and you kept turning it down until eventually became muted. And just think of like you're watching a video. You're watching a video, but just because you turn the volume down, you mute it, the video is still playing. So the same thing in your body. The sensations are still there. The communication is still there, just that you don't hear it anymore. And so attuning to the body's wisdom is remembering, going back to the body, turning that volume back up, and being able to listen to it, because the intelligence of our body is also not just information, but it's divine data. So it's like you're divinely protected. You have an inner knowing inside of you. Have you ever been to a place where you felt something was off, and then later on you stay there, something bad happened. You're like, I felt it, So trusting that sensation is also a part of self-trust, and is a part of safety, and understanding that you are, like, the authority is within you. Only you know, because you living inside of your own body. So that is like the gist of what it is to understand the body's wisdom, the intelligence of the body.
Yeah, I am resonating with this so much because so many things are coming up, and hopefully I can grasp
Yeah.
them all into
Okay.
a few clear sentences because I could be rambling on for seconds here. So, what I'm understanding, and I want to reflect back to you and our listeners, is that, or our viewers, I should say, is that we have been taught to override our body's wisdom, and that we have been conditioned to not listen to it, to turn that volume down
Yeah.
as you mentioned, and really start to dismiss it. And I would say that I wasn't able to listen to my own wisdom until I eliminated the thing, which was actually a person who kept turning that volume down for me. And so, one of the things I would love to talk about, and I know you're going to share because you have an experience similar to this, is how do we begin to turn our volume back up if we have somebody in our life who's continuing to turn that volume down for us?
Yes, that is a very good question. Awareness. To have the awareness that you're disconnected from the first place. And a lot of us don't have that awareness, like within clients or with friends. It's like, I don't feel anything. So it's about presence, allowing yourself to go back into it, because a lot of times we find ourselves in our head. And I tell people all the time, you have to get into your body, because the mind doesn't belong in the body's business. Is And yeah, so it's about slowing things down. A lot of us, we're on autopilot. We're just go, go, go. And so it's being mindful, going back to that presence, um, and slowing it down. And then for us who are neurodivergent, who are more sensitive, we have a lot of stimuli that's coming in. So it's about eliminating those noise and distractions. Maybe you need to down the lights low. Maybe you need to turn it off completely, and just close your eyes. Closing your eyes is good enough to just like kind of eliminate some of the distractions and noise. And just sitting there and closing your eyes and just being present with your body and just listening to the sensation, observing it, no judgment, anything. Just feeling maybe if there's any tension in your body, any contraction, maybe your stomach is gargling. You feel something in the back of your neck. Just being aware of it, just bringing awareness back to it, because it's once you're aware of it, that's when you can start to like maybe start to question it and start to ask like, what are these feelings? But the first step is to slow down and to become present and aware.
Okay, now I have slowed down enough and become present enough to realize that perhaps I have some relationships close to me that are not aligned with me being able to turn the volume up on my inner wisdom.
Yeah.
And I can share my experience, but I would love to hear from you because I know you've had a experience where you have had to shift what your world looks like in order to fully step into your body's attunement and wisdom.
Yes, this happened to me twice. I would say first with my parents, like I think for a lot of us, it starts with like our caregivers, they don't do that, stop this. And so you can fit in this box. And I think it wasn't probably until college, but it was more of like removing myself from that environment that I was able to like have this awareness, like, oh, I actually have the free reign to do certain things. And so I think it depends on the circumstance. So when I was younger, I had to do with moving from out of the environment. But as I got older, and now we're talking about like a marriage I was in, that came, and I'm still in this, like in this tumultuous relationship. It has to do with more of, it was screaming for a while. I didn't know. I think it was just kind of like this random things. It became as a feeling, something feeling off, something is feeling off. So usually something like that. And that was for quite a while. I don't know what it is. Something's feeling off and you're just complaining. And so sometimes the awareness will come slowly, like and through drips. And that's how it was for me. But then once it comes and you have in this like awakening, there's something that's going to show you. And you start to question because your body always has all of the answers. Sometimes you might find yourself going back into your mind, yourself doubting yourself. But then when you get back into your body, it's like it feels, oh, something is not right. And so after becoming more intimate with yourself, being able to be alone with yourself, the truth will come because a lot of time we don't want to face the truth. We want to outsource that to someone else. Guide me. What is my body? But your body is already telling you what it is. You already know inside of you what it is. So it's just about accepting what your body is saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. Once I was able to create a little distance between this particular person in my life that was turning my dial down. I set one boundary after another. It was slow. It was, I'm not going to come see you for a while. Then it was, I'm not going to talk to you if you talk to me this way. Then it was officially blocking them. And it was a parent of mine, a step parent. And after that, it took 6 months. You said it comes in drips, right?
Yeah.
I remember 6 months in was when I could finally hear myself. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get it now. I knew something was off, and I
Yeah.
knew I needed to do things in an incremental way to keep checking in with myself. Is this what I really want? But intuitively, I knew, yes, I just didn't know how to get to the end result. And now it's been 3 years. I feel amazing, and I'm not recommending abandonment, estrangement, any of that to everyone because that's not everybody's journey. But when you're able to turn up your dial and hear yourself again and listen to your body's wisdom, you no longer feel disconnected from your body. And so, one of the things that I would love to start talking about is the sensations in one's body when when the body is trying to communicate with you, but maybe you're misunderstanding or you don't want to hear it. What are some of the sensations that you have learned in your body to begin to notice?
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, the body responds in sensations, contractions, everything. And for a lot of us, we didn't learn emotional, like we didn't have that vocabulary. So one of the things too is learning, immersing yourself in learning too, to build that vocabulary of emotions, because some of us just think, like anger and anxiety. And we like to think that, oh, like anger or sadness, those are bad. And emotions are just energy and emotions. None of it is inherently good or bad. It's literally just information, divine data communicating to you something. If you have anger is coming up, it's like, oh, there's a boundary being crossed here. There's some injustice as your protective mechanism. Or perhaps you're having this anxiety. And that is like a bubbling up of truth that you don't want to face, something that you have been pushing out for too long, a truth or something that you need to acknowledge. Maybe you need to rest. And so for me, I started reading a lot too, like because I was dealing with like a lot of mindset abuse, so it was just more of like building my mindset. and learning these emotions. Like, oh, because sometimes even with one emotion, there's something underneath that. Anger can be sadness under there. It can be grief. And yeah, so it's just exploring not just education and awareness of the type of emotions, but the sensations and what does it mean and in what situations and standards that you're dealing with it, circumstances that you're in with it. Yes. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I answered your question.
No, no, that's perfectly fine. Yes. So, how do you start to attune to yourself every day, considering you're a mom of six
Yes.
and you run your own business? Like, what are some of your daily practices?
For me, I had to get up before my children get up. I'm up before them. I had to have that time to ground myself before the day, the bustling of the day. And so that looks like exercise because that's still the body, that blood flow. And when we work with the body first, our mind naturally clears. We're like, we start from the bottom up. And so exercise is like a non-negotiable for me, like whether I'm doing some lymphatic flow massage, whether it's like weight training, because I like to do that too. And then reading. There's some reading involvement. That's for the brain too. And sitting there in silence. But usually I like to sit in the nighttime. That's where after the day is gone too, then I do the same thing. Like now I need to wind back down. And I love to have the lights off, completely off. And sometimes I allow myself to just sit there with my eyes closed.
Yeah,
Just sit
me
there with my eyes
too.
closed and just listen because I've going through over a decade without listening and just on autopilot. So when I woke back up and was reconnected to my body, it felt like I've lost so many years that I want to be even more mindful now that I know. And then sometimes you might find there's been times, I found myself slipping because sometimes time is just like this. Time is a whole nother thing. Sometimes I have no sense of time, but I can still be mindful. But so there will be times where I'm just like, oh my goodness, 2 weeks has passed. Like, what happened here? Or. And then so it happens, but to allow myself that grace that, it's like you can get back on track. And so I just definitely want people to know that because having grace for yourself, having compassion, having forgiveness allows safety in your body because that's another thing. The nervous system doesn't work on logic, it works on regulation and safety. So if you're not safe, if you don't feel safe, then you can't process the healing that we want to do. Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah. And I think we're going to be going through some of this in our next episode, which is the art
Yeah.
of unmasking and reclaiming truth in a world that rewards performance, right? And
Yeah.
so we often can create unsafe environments in order to get that reward or fit that picture that society has painted for us. So we'll save that topic for the next one, which I'm
Oh yeah.
really
Okay.
excited about. But one more question before we go. I always like to give a little takeaway. So if there is somebody who is watching this and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm not attuned to my body. What is just one thing, that small thing they could do today to begin?
One small thing, slow down. Slow down. You want to build the capacity for safety. So start small. Don't just jump in 30-minute meditation, 5 minutes a day. Turn off the light, close your eyes, and just be like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here to listen to you. And I'm observing you. And just take it in. Just 5 minutes and build the capacity for that. Because when I first started, it felt awkward. Like imagine you meeting a stranger and it's like you're not gonna sit there and just talk about your life. So we have become a stranger to our own selves. So you have to build that capacity to re-engage back again. I want to get to know you. You want to get to know yourself because
Yeah.
sometimes we know other people more than we know ourselves. So it's just about slowing down and doing it little step by step. Yeah. And to know that it's not about how aware you are. It's about how attuned you are because wisdom doesn't start in the mind, it starts in the body.
Yes. I love this so much. Thank you so much. And I can't wait for all of our next shows. So if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed, please do because we're going to be on a year-long journey learning about how we can embody the truth of being with Miss Lima. So it's going to be a whole year-long show. So definitely like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions for her, she's in our community, community.sovereign-magazine.com. All of her details are also in the show notes of how you can connect with her. So definitely stick around for the next one. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, Nicole. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You as
Bye.
well.
Thank you.